back to another tour. We just finished up our Central Europe flights, um, landing in London at the London City Airport, and so that necessitates a tour of London itself. We're heading, I believe it's southwest, towards the photogrammetry in the city. It's gonna be kind of a short tour today, about as long as Paris, but with a little more landmarks, a little bit more first-hand experience. I've been to London a couple times, maybe like 5 to 10, somewhere in there. Probably less. And only been to Paris once, so what I remember of London is a lot more detailed. Here we are at Greenwich Park, which the title will pop up in a second. Boop, there it is. We went to Greenwich Park once, my family and I. What I remember is the giant strange roof and the laser coming out of the observatory. Also on the hill, at the top of the hill next to the observatory, there's a plaque that shows you the city skyline, so you can look out and see everything. And I remember the O2 being on it, for sure. It's like right there next to the parking. I remember that roof too. The skylight coming through. It's pretty weird. This facility to the northwest of it is I don't know how to say this except just to say like royal property. This is the Queen's house, the mansion, libraries, King William Court, Queen Anne Court, and then Thames. A lot of the things we're going to be visiting are along the Thames, but the Thames is rather long and winds quite a bit, so since London is sprawled out in different places, it's easier just to fly point to point. To the right of us, if I'm not mistaken, is Whitechapel, somewhere in the distance, where Jack the Ripper made his claim. This is the Tower Bridge. I happened to meet a guy who worked at the Hard Rock Cafe, or the Hard Rock Hall of Fame. That's what it was, the Hall of Fame Museum in London, near the Tower Bridge. This is Tower of London. Also been there. They made a joke about Texas while I was there, about garages. Thought that was the funniest thing ever. On the left, well, not yet, on the left side of the Thames, you'll notice 2 cruise ships. It's actually supposed to be the HMS Belfast, but doesn't matter. I remember that guy who worked at the Hall of Fame. My little sister was young and asked him if he was English because his accent was strange to her. And he's like, "No, ma'am, I'm Scottish." And that moment lives in infamy in my head. One of the more ancient, I guess you can call it, places that I've been to in London is this. The museum and actual theater for Shakespeare's Globe Theater. I thought it was really interesting, to be honest. The inside it's 2 stories with a dirt floor that has never been touched. It's practically unmessed with from the times when his plays were first being put on here. You can see down into there the floor and the surrounding balconies. Super strange that he wrote his plays for the common masses. This walk bridge, by the way, is pedestrian only, and it's very famous. I believe there's been a Harry Potter movie too. We're gonna skirt along a little bit, head towards the southwest, cutting a bit of land, until we get to the Thames again to visit this. Anybody who's seen James Bond knows this building by heart. That's right, it's the MI5, MI6 building. We're not gonna dawdle here. I feel like we could get in trouble. Especially loitering out front like this is pretty intimidating, and they seem like the kind of people you don't want to intimidate. We're gonna turn north, follow the Thames back north, and pretend we didn't just visit where we were. As you can see on the left, that's Big Ben, Parliament, Palace of Westminster. And straight ahead of us is the London Eye. We'll get a closer look at all those. I'm not a fan of the photogrammetry in this city. It does its job in some places, but other places, it is not very well done. Especially considering it's one of the best, well, not one of the best, but one of the most visited, I guess, cities in the world. Most infamous, one of the most infamous cities of the world. You'd think that a lot more effort would be put into trying to grab photogrammetry of it. So yeah, Palace of Westminster on the left, Parliament's in there. Westminster Abbey is the church right there to the left, with the spires, 2 spires. When I was there was a protest against the war in Iraq going on, and it was very controversial at the time. So it would have been about 2003-ish. And my dad, being the dumb man that he is, really wanted to get into a TV interview to explain his side of things. But as a U.S. military personnel person, that probably would not have been a great idea, and my mom talked him out of it. Down below us is 10 Downing Street, excuse me, the residence and offices of the Prime Minister of England. It's actually right below us. I'm so bad at flying. It's a good thing I'm the only one doing the tour, and I'm the only one in the the helicopter experiencing the tour, because, yeah, would have been nasty. This is another example of my terrible attention to focal points. Piccadilly Circus down there below us. Been there a couple times. The first time that I went there, we had the infinite luck of running into a theater there that was doing a long-running play called The History of America Unabridged, or History of the World Unabridged, something like that. And we got to go see that. I don't know if they're still there. I'd be interested in finding that out. There is a theater district in England, or in London, I mean. But I'd be hard pressed to tell you where it is. I haven't been in a long time to London or the theater district, and it's not exactly something that I remember very well at all. So we're gonna scoot off to the south. I believe we're following I don't know what it's called. This is technically the Green Park. I didn't put a label on it. And this is Buckingham Palace. I'm sure a lot of people will get very, very, very upset that we're flying so close. But that's the decent nature of VR and digital and flight sim. You can do this, and nobody will complain. Even if they wanted to, I'd turn off the comments. We're gonna hook a right north. Head into Hyde Park. So, when my family stayed here the first time, we stayed in a hostel near Kensington Gardens, which is to the direct west of us, to the left. So every single day when we went to go visit some landmark or some museum, we would pass by Hyde Park, and in Hyde Park there was this giant tent with the Star Trek like insignia on the side, and it was a giant convention for Star Trek that was going on at the time. And I remember like asking my dad if we could please go, and him being completely silent on the topic, even though at the time I thought maybe that was something he had wanted to do. I'm actually here looking for the hostel a little bit. I've regularly come through here looking for it. When I asked my mother about it, the only thing she could tell me was that it was near St. James Gardens or something like that. St. James Square, I believe it's called. Near St. James, yeah. And the only thing I remember is that church back there, because we were very, very close by there when an elderly couple picked us up and took us back to our hostel. They're very nice. Kensington Gardens, right below us, as we give up our search for the hostel. The Diana Memorial Playground is behind us, the round pond to the left. And off to the left also is the Peter Pan statue and a memorial fountain for Princess Di. We're going to head up to the right over the Embassies District. And I think that was the Royal College of Art. Back to the Thames. We're kind of done, to be honest. There's not much left to see. We just passed Chelsea and Battersea Park, coming in for a landing at Edmiston. I believe this is the only helipad in London currently, and it is fun to land at. I kind of wish there was more than one, though. There are a few helipads. London is not really one of those places that has a lot of helipads, and when they do, it's bad photogrammetry, so there's photogrammetry of helicopters sitting on top of the pads, and it's not great. Plus, they're only hospitals, you know. You don't necessarily want to land at an emergency pad at a hospital. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're heading back to the airport now, the one we started at, but we're going to take the long way. Which, I mean, we're as far as we can possibly get from the London City Airport. About halfway, actually, to Heathrow from the London City Airport. So. I like this area. Kind of the suburbs of London, but not really. Little park down below. Giant parking lot. I think this might be a Tesco or something. Kind of looks like a Tesco, doesn't it? Here's a really good example of the bad photogrammetry. You'll see it. Strange that, you know, I forgot what it's called. Something Dogs Wharf. Isle of Dogs, that's right. This is the Isle of Dogs. And it's like on the edge of photogrammetry. Right, some of these buildings are not photogrammetry at all. But then it pops right back into photogrammetry. And not great, any of them. So. I just wish it was a little bit more put together. Maybe it's because of Sobo's in charge and French aren't necessarily fond of the English. That's totally a joke. Please, nobody get offended. This is the O2. My first introduction to this was actually the James Bond film. And I want to say it was World Is Not Enough? I don't know. Here we are, London City Airport. Bit of an ag turn. I wonder if that term exists outside Texas. I don't really know. I've never flown outside Texas, so we call this an ag turn in Texas. You just kind of pull up until the helicopter rolls over, back down. And that's it. That's the whole tour. Thank you for coming along. I believe our next flight after this is kind of a exploration of England and Ireland and Scotland. So, look forward to that. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I just technically flew the flight from Bolivia to Panama City. So, I'm a little bit far ahead of this. But good news is, I'm actually getting closer to finishing this whole flight. This whole world tour. Still got 15 days left. So, I think I can finish the flight in the next 15 days. Finish the flights, but not necessarily the tour being uploaded. So, anyway, see ya.